If you have found this logbook, I have probably perished by now. But I wanted to record everything I found in my travels so you can learn it from me. I just had the wildest adventure that I want to tell you about, but I think it's better that I start from the beginning. I woke up in the forest without any memories or even any idea how I got here. I looked around a bit and decided it was best for me to try and find food and a way for me to survive here. I then quickly discovered wild animals which weren't very friendly to me, so I had to run away. I found an abandoned ruin which I quickly ran to for shelter and hoped for some loot. It turns out that the ruin was an entrance to an underground dungeon which seemed to be long abandoned. So I decided to venture in because the outside couldn't offer me much anyway. So I dove in, and in the hope that it wasn't dangerous. Well, I knew it would be somewhat dangerous, but curiosity took the back of me. When I finally descended the winding staircase, I quickly found corridors that contained chests and safe rooms for me to explore. I got some decent gear from the abandoned chests in the dungeon and was ready to explore some more. Surprisingly, I found another staircase which led down into another set of corridors, which seemed to be older and more dangerous. I still don't know who built this place, but it seemed that the lower levels contained better loot, but were guarded by stronger monsters. On a side note, by the way, the monsters seemed to come from a weird cage that the architect of this place made. Well, probably. This was good because I could break the cage and the monsters seemed to stop pouring out of it, giving me time to gear up properly. Then disaster struck. All kinds of armored zombies poured out of the cages at once, and I had no way to defend myself here. I swung my sword to the best of my abilities, taking out zombie after zombie, but there was no end of them. And after the plague zombie gave me hunger and I got stuck in the dead end of a corridor, 5 zombies bodied me and I got shredded to pieces. And then everything went black, and I died. At least I think. The next moment I wake up in my bed in my makeshift camp and everything seemed like a very realistic dream. My stuff was gone though, and a strange death marker popped up on my map. I started drawing. I followed it back into the dungeon, and to my surprise there was a grave with my body in it. I examined it very carefully and found all the stuff I lost. I still don't understand why, but I seem to be immortal, at least for now. I decided that it was too dangerous and I found my way back while I was ahead. Storage became an issue as I had so much stuff that I couldn't carry it anymore. So I decided to farm some string in one of those weird towers that dot the land, and after killing some wildlife I had the materials necessary to begin crafting a backpack. After making sure the leather was sturdy enough and the string was strong enough, I crafted the backpack, which greatly increased my carrying capacity. I figured, as I was on the road a lot, without a home, I should at least make sure that I can take everything useful with me. After everything that happened, I decided it was time to move on and see what else I could find. So I broke up my camp and went on an adventure. First by boat, avoiding a weird black fog which I didn't want to touch. Then on foot, where I discovered that the boots I found were great for travel because they made me feel weightless, so I could jump over the canopy and sprint like the wind. After traveling for a day, I found a small castle hidden in the mountains, and upon closer inspection I noticed it was guarded by armored skeletons. So I didn't think they would be able to tell me where I am or give me other useful information. So I set up a bed, went in guns blazing, and killed everything that attacked me. After killing the butcher and some stragglers, I was ready to loot the fort. The loot there was not very good compared to the dungeon, but I did find a lot of food which really helped out because I didn't have much food anymore. So, all in all, very successful. On my travels, I kept stumbling upon weird doors that seemed to appear at random in the world. I didn't want to enter them as they seemed to be portals to somewhere. I wasn't ready to be teleported at random as I didn't know where I could end up, and without a way home, or even a home, I'd probably keep dying if the location was hostile enough. Even though I'm immortal, I do still feel pain, and dying is the worst pain I had ever experienced. Looting the fort made me realize how little living people there actually are in this world. It's safe to say I haven't found anything truly alive at all in my days here, so I decided it was time to journey through the world to see if I could find people like me. People who talk like me, act like me, are alive like me. So after another day of traveling, I stumbled upon what seemed to be the very first settlement, which didn't seem hostile. I got excited when I saw another person that didn't immediately draw a weapon and prepare to kill me. But my excitement was short-lived when the people didn't seem to speak my language. They didn't seem to speak any language at all, but a more primitive version of talking through grunts and holding up items. It was easy enough to understand what they meant, and after a small awkward greeting, they held up items they seemed to want to trade for the emeralds I had picked up through my journey. The items weren't anything special though, as I could get most of them for free by killing monsters or crafting basic tools. Either way, I found it exciting to find another beings, which made me hope for a more intelligent encounter down the line of my adventure. After taking a break from all the action I had undergone, I wanted to help the villagers out, as they provided me with a bed and food. I tried to tell them if there was anything they needed a hired sword for, and they explained with a map and a lot of pointing and grunting that there was a giant castle which kept sending armored skeletons. They said they came to collect food, materials and money, so they'd really dried them out. So I set out to the location and set my eyes upon the biggest structure I had found yet. Looming in the distance, the castle gave off an intimidating vibe, but I promised I'd help the villagers out. So after taking a hard swallow, I set up a bed in a slave camp, where I found some kidnapped villagers, so I knew I had to be careful so they wouldn't be killed off. After preparing myself mentally and physically, I tried to find a way in, but I couldn't find a back door, so the front door it was. I got pleasantly greeted by a horde of leather-armored skeletons, which didn't stand a chance to my newly enchanted turtle blade. Skeleton after skeleton fell as I realized they were very coordinated, usually attacking in a small group with a healer, enchanter, tank and damage dealer. They even chucked potions when their health became low. I realized these might have been the intelligent people I was looking for if I wasn't about 1,000 years too late. The skeleton hierarchy was very apparent when I went up another floor. The skeletons got better gear the further I went up. From leather to gold to chain to iron to even diamond. So I was physically climbing the hierarchy ladder, which in a sense I found oddly amusing. The amusing part quickly faded when I found the, I assume, General Skeleton. Covered in double-layered diamond armor, it swung its sword menacingly at me. I knew beforehand I had met my match, but, well, he didn't. I wasn't even a challenge. And after taking a single hit from this menace, I knew I couldn't win. Before finishing the thought, I felt the serrated teeth on his blade rip me open. Blood splattered everywhere and a second hit launched me into the wall. The only thought I had was run. Defeated, I needed to think of another plan. The plan, though, was right in front of me. His armor would be my survival. I noticed he couldn't move as fast as the other skeletons, so I gambled my life and dove right behind him and took a sprint to the nearest staircase. After a while of hiding, I heard the door opening and closing, presumably of the skeleton trying to find me. I was safe. I survived. For now. After taking the coward's approach and simply ignoring the conflict with the general, I was conflicted about what to do next. Keep my promise and continue on, or leave with the loot I found. After a little while, I decided to press on and go to the top floor. I figured that the general wouldn't stay alone in the castle if there was no one else anyway, so I didn't think it would pose a threat. After the decision, I went up more stairs and found the leader of this place. It was a sorcerer who probably used the villagers for his vile rituals. The moment he laid eyes on me though, he summoned traps and spikes, but my focused mind said one thing: kill the man. And after driving him into a corner and finding an opening, my blade pierced the man through. He vanished right after that, but the villagers were free. The town was saved from further harassment and I had done my job. I figured I didn't need to return to the village because the villagers I set free from the slave camp would probably tell my story anyway. And the reward was something I didn't need because I had already looted the entire fort clean. After exiting the castle, I went back to my makeshift camp and grabbed my stuff I left behind. I took a good look at my map and decided I would travel to the west. But before I did that, I pulled out an empty book I found in the village and decided to write down everything I found and experienced. I plan on leaving the logbook here for the lucky reader because experience is key to survival and I hope and think this will be useful. So, until you find the next logbook, dear reader, and I'd suggest searching west. Whoa, you've made it to the end of my Hexed 2 Adventures episode 1, or first logbook. Thank you for watching, and consider subscribing and leaving a like. These type of videos are really fun to make, but also take a lot of time. So if you want more of this, then please consider leaving a comment saying you'd like more. And thanks again. And until you find the next logbook, goodbye.